Since its debut in 1928, Mickey Mouse is one of the most recognizable characters in the entire world. Disney's Epic Mickey promises to pay tribute to the Mouse's history by bringing him back to some old adventures. With the brilliant mind of Warren Spector behind the game, is Epic Mickey an epic game, or is it an epic failure? Disney's Epic Mickey starts with Mickey wandering into Yen Sid's workshop, where he was working on building the perfect land for forgotten characters, until Mickey accidentally spills a great amount of thinner into the world, resulting in the creation of the Shadow Blot. Mickey runs back home in fear and tries to forget about the entire ordeal. Many years later though, he is pulled into the wasteland by the Shadow Blot, where he must face the enemy he created and the chaos he spread.
The world I had created was ravaged, a wasteland.
Throughout the playthrough, you will see many forgotten Disney characters that ended up in the wasteland, like Horace the Horse Color and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Some characters in the wasteland will tell you about their backstory and how everyone forgot about them. The game does a good job in making you feel bad about these characters, but sadly it doesn't develop much on that concept. Most of the characters in the wasteland will have some type of quest for you to complete. While most quests will have you doing the tedious task of going back and forth between towns, others will have you attempting to collect certain items in one of Mickey's several missions. Many of these quests are required to be completed simultaneously while you're doing the mission, and once you finish the mission, you won't be able to complete the quest you were given. Between towns and missions, you will be required to jump into a projector, which will teleport you to a side-scrolling level based off an old-school Mickey cartoon. These areas will end just as quick as they start. You'll walk from left to right, almost unchallenged, and then you'll be out of the projector in no time. These areas are extremely easy, and you will hardly be challenged by anything in these levels. It felt like it could have done so much with these levels, but they ended up doing nothing interesting with them. Mickey's main tools of combat is paint and thinner. Paint will restore objects and people back to normal, while thinner will erase them from existence. In order to aim your brush, you need to point the Wiimote to the part of the screen you wish to spray at. While this control scheme works for the most part, sometimes I've found myself shooting in a complete different direction than which I was pointing at. In order to defeat most enemies, you need to spray a considerable amount of paint on them, similar to the methods used in Super Mario Sunshine. Using paint will turn your enemies into your servants, while using thinner will make them disappear forever. Some enemies cannot be turned into servants, so we will be forced to either run away or make them disappear. You can also shake the Wiimote in order to do a spin attack, but to really defeat enemies most of the time you will be required to use either paint or thinner. This plays an important role in how you complete your quests. Depending on how you complete your tasks, you'll be rewarded differently. In one mission, for example, I chose to restore Petatronic Pete to normal using paint. As a reward, Big Bad Pete gave me a special item. In another mission, I chose to destroy my enemy and received nothing. Unfortunately, you will not see how completing these quests differently affects the world around you until the very end of the game. And because of that, I didn't feel like my choices were making any difference, and I lost interest on the whole morality aspect of the game. The game fails at using the morality system to its full capabilities, and because of it, I lost interest in trying to solve the forgotten characters' problems, and just started doing the main quests. This is one of my biggest disappointments with the game. It has an incredible concept with great potential, but unfortunately, it lacked the proper execution to make it a unique experience. The morality system is only one of many problems with the game. Another issue I had was the incredibly painful controls. If you are used to playing generally good platformers, you will never get used to them. Jumping feels awkward, shaking the Wiimote felt unresponsive at times, and you are never really sure where you're supposed to jump. While the controls are pretty bad themselves, the camera is terrible enough to make it even worse. You have almost zero control over the camera, and sometimes changing the camera will make it harder for you to see what you want to see. I dreaded every moment I had to change the camera angle, never knowing if changing the angle would make it better or worse. Another problem I had with the game was it's never really clear about what you're supposed to be doing. In multiple situations I was stuck in an area throwing paint and thinner all over the place, trying to figure out what to do. The game offers a help by pointing the Wiimote up and waiting for the Guardians to point you to the right direction, but even those hints were not very clear at times, which created very frustrating moments in the game. Disney's Epic Mickey lacks execution in all departments. The game oozes with great potential but lacks the proper execution to make a phenomenal game it deserves to be. The game has its moments, but the dreadful controls and camera will bury any resemblance of entertainment the game has to offer. If you're a truly hardcore Mickey Mouse fan and you are willing to overlook the issues the game has, you will enjoy this game. On the other hand, if you need precise controls for platformers, then feel free to pass on this game. RewindToPlay.com is giving Disney's Epic Mickey a 68 out of 100.